Jez, a couple of weeks ago, you put out a little message, I think, on Facebook saying, that's it, you're stopping flying. The Yakovlevs grounded.
That's right, Ian. It was a tough decision to make, but it was time. You know, all good things come to an end, and it was our time. Everything just became just a bit too complex to keep going.
Talking about coming to an end, let's just go back to the beginning. I think I first met you at Compton Abbas in 1994, 95, something like that.
That's right, 1994, and you came flying with me in Slingsby, where I had the aerobatic school there, in very late, I think it was nearly December in 94, and then we became firm friends ever since then.
Golf Sierra Foxtrot Tango Zulu, if I remember rightly.
Goodness me, yeah, you did say that a few times as well.
A few times, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Brilliant. So when fast forward a few years, how long have you been owning and running the Yakovlevs?
Well, the first yak I got involved with was at Compton Abbas with a guy called John Griffin. He used to fly a Yak 50, but he had a Yak 52, and I bought a share in that, and that was in 95. And then I bought my own in 96, started basically the Yakovlevs flying in 97, and we went semi-professional for our first real display at Yeovilton in, I think it was 99.
And you went from that one yak, and now you've got how many?
And now we have 9 yaks now, as you can see.
9 yaks, a hangar, a container or two full of spares, more engines and propellers and nuts and bolts and...
Oh, God, just can't even begin to look at it. I think it's more all the little extras that you end up with. You know, we've got 14 life jackets, 9 immersion suits, 14 helmets, 14 parachutes. And because we used to go to China and India a lot, we've duplicated almost every tool as well. So we have 2 sets of everything. So I'm not looking forward to the inventory that we're going to have to do.
You're going to become accustomed with eBay, presumably.
I think eBay is going to get a bit of a beating, yeah.
So, I mean, clearly that's a fairly monumental decision to take. What are some of the factors that kind of made you come in that day and went, you know what, that's it? It might not have been on the day, obviously. It was.
I mean, it was the decision was actually made quite quickly, and I'll come to that in a minute. Things within the team had been going very well. We were displaying all over the world. We've got a lot of contracts in place. We came back from China in November 2019, and on the books we had nearly £1 million worth of business abroad for the next 18 months. And we were signing a contract for skytyping in Dubai, which would have been over $1 million for a 4-month period, and that was really starting to ramp up quite nicely. And then by March 2020, everything was gone. You know, the pandemic had hit, the country was closed down, all flying was stopped, social distancing came in, and it just destroyed everything that we'd been building over the last 23 years. But such is life. You know, it was hard for us, but it was a lot harder for many other people in this country. So I'm not feeling sorry for myself, but it was a tough time and pretty sad, actually.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I can imagine it. But there must be, I mean, I've seen the amount of work that goes into, or at least I've seen some of the work that goes into this, and it's not really all about formation flying and displaying on the day. There is a shed load of work that goes on in the run-up, in getting the contracts, getting the legal stuff signed, getting all the safety stuff done, getting all the authorizations and permissions and stuff like that. The actual, what is it, a 7-minute display or something? Well,
we do a 20-minute display, but that is the easiest bit because you practice so much. When you actually come to the display, it's almost everybody knows exactly what, where, when, how, where the aircraft will be at any point in the display. You can just know where the aircraft will be. Even if you've done a split or a break, every aircraft has a position to be in and they will always be there. So the display is the easy bit.
So that 20 minutes must be like a tiny percentage of the amount of work that goes into getting to that particular point.
Oh, it's got to be, I might be exaggerating a little bit, or maybe not, maybe I'm being conservative, but it's got to be 30, 40 hours to any 1 hour in the air. It's just the eye-watering amount of paperwork and administration to do it safely.
Yeah.
You know, if you're one aircraft guy who's got a full-time job and you've got a pit special or an extra or an extreme XA42, you know, game bird, then it's quite easy. You jump in your aircraft and that's it. There's not that much to do. But when you're running, you know, a 6-ship and you've got 9 pilots, at least 9 pilots, it's complex, you know.
Absolutely. There must be, given all of that work, is there part of you that thinks, when you open the door to the hangar in the morning, these days you think, I won't have to face all of that toing and froing over paperwork and permissions and getting paid for displays and all of that kind of normal business kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every day since the decision, which is just over a week ago now, I ask myself, have I done the right thing? And every single day I go 100%. It is a massive release for me and a relief. There was so much going on with it now, and it's a lot harder than it was, you know, 10 years ago. Was Shoreham the reason that it's all become so complex and difficult? I think there's an element of that, but I think there's just a lot more.
Some would say rightly so.
It's really difficult to quantify that. I've read almost every report you can read on Shoreham. I've looked at all of the findings, the inquest, and I'm not convinced there's anything that's been put in place yet that would have stopped that happening.
Given that you haven't changed your mind and this is your decision, let's just have a quick run through, you know, what the next year, 18 months looks like for you.
So the decision was made last week, obviously letting everybody know that the team had been very much involved in these decisions. We decided we were probably going to give up at the end of this coming season anyway, in the UK. We'd got some contracts that were looking at happening in South Korea and in China and India again. And a couple of those fell through, again, because of just situations in the world at the moment. You know, South Korea looked like a great opportunity, but with the tensions with North Korea at the moment, that was cancelled. So we brought it forward and decided that was it. So the next period is really just organising things now, getting the aircraft all done, getting them itemised, putting them up for sale. It's going to be complex selling 8 or 9 aircraft. So
what have you actually, you know, you've got a mixture of aircraft. What have you got to sell?
We've got 5 Yak-52s,
yeah,
and we've got 4 Yak-52s, 5 Yak-50s.
So does that make you the biggest single Yak-50 owner in the world, or is anyone doing more than you?
I believe we are the largest Yak-50 owner in the world, and certainly the largest private Yak display team in the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm gutted a bit because I was going to wait until you get to the end of your UK season, and then I was going to see if I could blag a go in a Yak-50, but. Oh well, never mind. And I don't want to go enough to want to go and buy one, because that's a bit much. But you know, that's okay. It's not really all about me. I mean, what about this hangar?
Yeah, I'm going to. I think I'll probably end up selling that. This is 1,000 square meters of hangar I built for the Yak team. It's got fantastic corporate facilities. Everything's Wi-Fi, smart board. It's designed for a corporate team, so that we have all of the flight safety boards, all of the mechanical boards, all the maintenance boards, signing in, signing out, TVs, videos, so that whenever we do a display, we can watch those, analyse them. Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And on that fateful day, that hopefully for you it's not an imaginary day, that you walk out of the hangar door for the last time, turn the lights out, close the door, lock it, put the key in a key box or somewhere, hand it over to a new owner. What are you then going to do? Is Jez Hopkinson going to be out of aviation for good? Are you going to retain your involvement in the display world? Are you going to just go and find a beach somewhere?
As I walk out the door, it will be a Douglas Adams moment of so long and thanks for all the fish. And for me, I think my time in aviation has come to its end. I think one of the reasons that we were so successful as a team, and we did over 2,300 displays, and we never had an accident between 2 aircraft on the ground or in the air. We never traded paint. We had minimal problems with engines because we maintained them so well, was because the attention to detail was such, and we were so safety conscious. Our whole philosophy was make the very, very easy look good. And that's what we tried to do. And the caliber of pilot that we had meant that we were always safe. And I think that if you move on to something else after living an environment where safety was such of paramount importance, I just think it would be difficult for me to keep flying. People say, do you want to buy and build an RV or some kit plane? And I kind of think, do you know what? I'd rather find another chapter in my life. You know, I'm coming up to 62, and I just think there's more than just flying and aviation. I think I've got other things to go and do now. I think you and I have been promising to have a Pierre ad since, was it 1995?
1995, yeah. So hopefully we'll get time to have that Pierre ad now.
I think it'd be good if we could get you and Martine now.
Yeah.
And the grandchildren now, of course. Where did they come from?
Who knows? Will there be wine?
There'll be certainly a bit of wine. I think it's nice to have something to look forward to, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and after this, that Pierre ad is a massive thing to look forward to, clearly. Well, I mean, never say never, but I understand what you mean. It would need to be something very, very different, and possibly after a break, once you've done all the beaches, you've done all the Pierre ads, you've finished your house.
I know, it's only I could have started to rebuild my house in COVID. I just can't believe it. And we're still not finished now, and we're, nearly 3.5 years later. It has become a bit of a fight of love. I just think there's other things apart from aviation. You know, the beach, I'm not a beach goer, you know. I think, who knows? Watch this space, I think.
Watch this space. Well, Jez, thank you very much. Wish you luck. I'll clearly stay in touch over the next 18 months. We'll chat about it over the Pierre ad.
Well, we need to get you in that Yak 50.
Wow.
You know, the aircraft are still here. We're going to obviously we do need to keep them flying just to keep their engines going. And it'll just be for people to come in, have a look, see what they like. And if anybody wants to come and have a look at them before they all go, that'd be great. We're always open.
Well, and if someone wants to, if someone's sitting there watching this thinking, you know what I could do with a ready-made display team, including a hangar, well, how should they contact you?
Just Jez at Aerobatics or Jez at Yakovlevs.com. Jez at Yakovlevs.com always come through to me, and I'll sit them down in a quiet room with a coffee or perhaps a bottle of whiskey and say, right, son, let me explain. It's going to be complex.
And alternatively, given that it's not entirely impossible, someone may well do that, but it may be that you have to sell airplanes one at a time or two at a time or something like that. Equally, just drop you an email and say, Jez, I'm interested in your
whatever
corporate clothing or something. Drop you an email and get in touch.
We're expecting it to be 18 months. I'm sad because I believe most of the aircraft will go abroad. I think the 50s will go to America, South Africa, Australia, because the 50 is just such a beautifully harmonised aeroplane. It's without doubt the nicest aircraft I've ever flown. And the 52 is, you get so much bang for your buck. And ours are incredibly well kitted out. Big engines, so they've all got 400, 450 horsepower engines, 3-blade propellers, they've got lightweight generator systems, stripped out, good avionics, flat screen, and I think they'll go quite quickly. So that beach might be beckoning a bit quicker than I thought.
A bit quicker than you thought. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks very much indeed, Ian. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.